Hooker Street. And let's be honest, you see that sign, you laugh, you snap a picture, you post it online, you try to see how many likes you get, because let's be honest, it's some kind of joke, right? We all do it. But here, in Morristown, New York, the name doesn't mean what you think. No. Hooker Street has roots that go back to rivermen, smugglers, and one very real war that turned this quiet village into a front line. And once you know the story, the name isn't just funny, it's sharp. It's hooked deep into history. Welcome back, everybody, to another Street Sign Storytime. Recently spent some time in Morristown, New York, not only for a soccer game, but 2 basketball games. And for whatever reason, you can't go to Morristown, New York. When you think about Morristown, New York, you think Hooker Street. And everybody has that dirty brain, it seems like, and it goes one route. Maybe it's the world's oldest profession. But either way, this isn't about that. This is about something totally different. So let's jump right into it. Because Morristown, it wasn't always just cottages, campsites that are on the St. Lawrence River. In July of 1813, British gunboats opened fire on the village from across the river in Brockville. Cannonballs, they shattered homes, barns, they went up in smoke. And locals, they scrambled for cover. The Hammond family, yes, that family, they still hold one of the most historic estates in the North Country. And, we're unfortunately at the center of all this craziness. They provided men, supplies, and even their land to the cause. This little river town was suddenly a target. Survival wasn't about politics. It was about grit. Families, they fished the river. They farmed the rocky soil. And when the smoke cleared, they rebuilt. And here's the thing. Rebuilding took tools. It took hooks. Boat hooks, fish hooks, timber hooks. That simple iron point and a sturdy shaft, that was the lifeblood of a St. Lawrence town. Let's enter the Hookers. There's no denying it. A Hooker family name shows up in New York records in the early 1800s. But in Morristown, the legend says the name wasn't just about a family. It was about a trade. Jonathan Hooker, the riverman, folks said that he could plant a boat into a drifting log before anyone else even spotted it. He worked for the Bogardus clan and the Gilberts, real North Country names that still echo through the area. And together they kept the Black Lake timber moving. They guided rafts that went towards Ogdensburg without losing a single piece to the current. If a stray log floated downriver, locals would shrug and say, "Don't worry, Hooker will snag it." The man became a myth. And when a new road cut through the village where his crew worked, the name came, well, naturally. Why not just call it after Jonathan and name it Hooker Street? But here's where things get slippery, because after the war, trade laws tightened. Custom houses in Ogdensburg, they made it costly to move Canadian goods, and the tariffs ate into profits. But the river didn't care about laws. Old stories claim Hooker and his crew weren't just snagging logs, they were snagging barrels. On moonless nights, lanterns bobbed on the water near what is now Jacques Cartier State Park. The scrape of hooks echoed across the current as contraband rolled in from Brockville. Whiskey, flour, maybe, just maybe, a little powder that was meant for guns. And the McClear family, yes, they're still very real, not only in the Morristown area, but maybe some other parts. And they were said to store the goods. The Hammonds, well, they had enough influence that nothing ever tied back to them. But the Whispers, they all came back to Hooker Street, the lane where the wagons rolled quietly at night, leaving no record behind. And then comes the tale people argue about to this day. Winter of 1847, the St. Lawrence, it froze hard, solid enough to drag oxen across. Townsfolk, they were cutting blocks of river ice to stock their storage houses. Ice meant life. You could keep milk, meat, and especially fish fresh well into the summer. That year, someone proposed a contest. Who could hook the biggest block? Men from Morristown, men from Hammond, even a few from Chippewa Bay, all lined up with their pike poles and boat hooks. And according to legend, Jonathan Hooker hauled in a block that was so massive it actually took 3 teams of oxen to drag it ashore, big enough to store an entire season's catch of sturgeon from Black Lake. From that day forward, locals, they called part of town, you got it, Hooker's Stretch. And when it came time to pull on a map, well, the name was already written. So what do you think? Where did the name Hooker Street come from? I mean, let's be honest, at the end of the day, we laugh about it, sure. But if you peel back all these stories eventually you're going to get one, that is going to stick. One of them was the inspiration behind it. In this story, in this town, in this area, not only did you have war, you had smuggling, you had survival, and maybe even a wild ice block competition that's just crazy enough that maybe it is true. Because let's be honest, Hooker Street isn't about scandal. It's about a people who learned to survive by hooking what they needed. Fish, logs, barrels, or even a little extra luck off that frozen river. So the next time you drive down Hooker Street in Morristown, New York, don't just think about the joke. Think about the families who lived it. The Hammonds, the McClears, the Bogartises, the Gilberts. Think about cannon fire, contraband, and one man with a boat hook who became a legend. Because in the North Country, history doesn't just flow. It hooks you. Hopefully you enjoyed it. This has been Street Sign Storytime, told the way it was meant to be told. Funny enough to make you laugh, sharp enough to make you think, and real enough to make you wonder. I'm Beardlaws, and I'll see you on the road. Hopefully, maybe, we'll come up with another Street Signs that we really do enjoy. Spoiler alert, we're going to do this again next week. Hopefully you'll be there, because I'll be there. That's all we got. Take care, everybody.